Hey guys, today is take 2 of Mary Berry's Bakewell Tart. The difference is, one, we're using, people recommend that we try the Trader Joe's almond flour instead of the ground almond, so we're going to use that for the inside, but I don't use it right now. And the only other difference we have is we bought some of these pie weights instead of using beans. I don't think that'll make any difference whatsoever at all, but we did buy these instead. So the almond flour will be the biggest difference. So really all this is exactly the same, but I'll go through it just really quick. We bought a jar of raspberry jam, just Smucker's raspberry jam, so you'll need that. You need, now this is just for the crust. You need 225 grams of plain flour, plus a little bit more for dusting the surface. You need 150 grams of butter chilled, which ends up being a stick and 3 tablespoons. You need 25 grams of icing sugar, and I don't know how much that is, maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons. I don't know. We weighed it. You need 1 egg beaten up, and then you need 2 tablespoons of water, which for some reason is not in the recipe, but it's in the description. Who knows? So anyway, the butter for this, you still want it to be cool. You want it to be chilled, not like melted. So you literally take your butter, drop it in your flour. Take your butter, drop it in your flour. And you take your hands, which you're gonna get your hands dirty, and you're gonna crumble it up. And I probably should have cut it into cubes like I did last time, but that's okay. I can work with it. So you're gonna just basically work this flour into this butter to where it resembles like kind of like breadcrumbs, like really fine breadcrumbs. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and it'll take me a little bit, but literally I'm just going to sit here and squeeze flour into butter. So I'll be back once this is ready, and I'll show you what it looks like. Hey, this is what it looks like, and it does look like fine breadcrumbs. I mean, literally that looks like breadcrumbs. So now you're supposed to stir in your powdered sugar. So I'm just going to take my powdered sugar. They call it icing sugar, don't they? But it's powdered sugar over here, and I'm just gonna mix it in, really. I mean, you're not really stirring anything, you know. Okay. And then I'm gonna transfer this over to my stand mixer, and I want to use my dough hook. I'm gonna get as much of this on my hand as I can, because I don't drop it all over the floor. Yeah. So let me dump this in here, and then I'm gonna wash my hands, and I'll be back. Okay, here it is, and I'm just gonna turn this on low real quick. And I'm going to dump my egg in there. And again, it's just 1 egg, and I'll wait till it goes around. And then my 2 tablespoons of water. And you do this until it forms the dough. Alright, you can see it's in, it pulled together. It was like, you know, rolling up into a ball on the dough hook. It's a little sticky, and I don't remember if the first batch I made was this sticky or not, but it's not bad, it's just sticky. And we'll fix that when we get some flour on it. Roll it out till 1 pound coin is basically what they say. And you always go from the inside out, which I'm really bad about doing. This time, I'm going to actually cut it off before I put it in the fridge, before we bake it. Because if you watch my other video, my last video, I left it on. I didn't cut it, so it was it crumbled, didn't it?
It was ugly.
It was ugly.
He's talking about the edges right here.
Yeah.
He didn't cut that off. Well, you thought that if it baked, then you could cut it off.
Yeah, I thought it would shrink.
Right.
And I was worried about it shrinking, but it really didn't shrink that much, did it?
Right.
So now you take your rolling pin and go.
Well, yeah.
And it kind of cuts it. Just like that. All right, so this needs to go in the fridge for half an hour just to cool off. So I'll be back. All right, it's been in the fridge for half an hour. So now I'm going to take this parchment paper, and you literally just put the parchment paper in there. I'm almost out of parchment paper. That's what it looks like, right? Lay it in there, and then you want to pour your beans in there. Either beans or baking beans. Our oven is preheated to 392 degrees Fahrenheit, or 200 degrees Celsius. That's what it is. I know. So we get these flattened out really good. And make sure your parchment paper is flat in the bottom, because if it's not, it'll bubble up. Alright, now this is going to go in the oven for 15 minutes, and then when it comes out, I'm going to remove this and put it in for another 5, but I'll be back and show you that. Okay, while my crust is in the oven, I'm going to be making the filling for it. So what I need is, I need a stick and 3 tablespoons of softened butter. I softened it a little bit too much, but I think it's fine. You need 150 grams of caster sugar, and caster sugar is just regular sugar to us, and I weighed it. You need 150 grams of ground almonds, and this is the blanched almond flour. And then you need 1 egg, and you need 1 teaspoon of almond extract. And we bought this at I think Walmart or somewhere. So basically, I'm going to take my butter and sugar, and I'm going to cream them together until they're pale. Alright, it's pretty pale and fluffy looking to me, so now I want to add my almond flour. Let me get a spoon. Instead of just throwing it in there, I can spoon it in there slowly. And I beat my egg up into a bowl too, by the way. It did say beaten. Okay, I just dumped the rest of that in there. So now I want the egg. Let's turn that down a little bit. And 1 teaspoon of the almond extract, and don't put too much of it in there because it's kind of strong. Alright, this just came out of the oven, so I'm going to take these and pour them into this tin. Tammy doesn't trust that I can pour these out without making a mess. And I might very well make these little balls go everywhere. That's 2. They do get a little warm, by the way. Like, really warm. Okay, now you put this back in the oven for 5 minutes. And you notice we have it on a baking sheet just so we won't have to worry about the bottom falling out. Okay, here's my tart crust out of the oven. So this has to sit and cool off for a little bit, and you see how it shrunk? Would have done that if I hadn't cut it. So anyway. Proven right. The oven now gets reduced to 356 degrees Fahrenheit, and this has to cool off just a little bit before we put this other stuff in there. So I'm gonna reduce that and let this sit maybe 10 minutes and let it cool off a little bit. Okay, it's been about 7 minutes. It's still warm, but it's not hot. So I've got my raspberry jam, red raspberry jam, and this is seedless. You could probably put anything you wanted to, cherry or whatever in here. And you're going to put, make sure my tablespoon fits in there, you're going to put 4 tablespoons of this jam in here. And then we're going to end up spreading it. It's actually good that it's a little warm because it helps melt this a little bit. I'm just going to use this spoon to kind of squish it out a little bit. Now the recipe, Mary Berry, if you were to look for her recipe, she actually tells you how to make the jam homemade with raspberries. We just got lazy and this is bottom. You know, I said that about pulling it apart, not cutting it beforehand, but I forgot that I've watched like a Martha Stewart video, and she didn't cut hers either. I mean, she cut hers before she baked it as well, so I guess it's just, I don't know why it shrunk up. There's probably some good hints and tips that people could give, but it's okay. It's not the big deal. Okay, that's pretty spread out. It's a little clumpy, but that's okay. So now I'm going to take my filling, and I'm just going to, it's much fluffier, by the way, than when we made it with the ground almonds. It's much softer. The ground almond ones was very, very hard. So I'm going to kind of spoon it in there. And then I'll spread it here in just a second. But last time we spread it and all the raspberries literally went out to the edges and nothing was in the middle. So the edges had a really good raspberry flavor, but the middle didn't have much flavor at all, the raspberry wise. So, what?
I was thinking if you had put it out here and then moved inward with it.
Yeah, I'm basically just gonna flatten it right out though. So now this is gonna go in the oven for 25 to 35 minutes and until it's golden brown, and where you stick a toothpick in it comes out clean. That's what it's gonna look like. So I'm gonna get this in the oven and I'll be back. Okay, here it is out of the oven and checked with toothpick. So again, it comes out clean, it's not wet. So it was actually in there about 30 minutes. So that's how long it took, and I still haven't turned my oven off. But anyway, so this has to cool off completely. I mean, completely, before you put your icing on there. It's pretty cooled off. So now we're gonna make the icing. So what you're gonna do for the icing is you need 300 grams of icing sugar or powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of almond extract, which is almond extract, pink food coloring, we use the gel kind, and you need some water, and I just put a bowl of water over there and with the tablespoon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my teaspoon of almond extract, put that in there, and then you need like 3 tablespoons, or hold on, yeah, about 3 tablespoons of water, and you may have to add more to get the consistency you want. So I'm gonna start with 3. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to take, it says take about 3 tablespoons and put it into another bowl. So I'm just going to spoon out some. Doesn't have to be, actually that's probably, I'll take another half spoonful. This is for the pink frosting. So the rest of it's literally just going to go on this tart. So, and I haven't taken it out of the pan or anything yet. And it did like crash in the middle. I mean, it collapsed. It did that while it was cooling off, and I'm not sure why. I don't remember the first one doing that, but it may have. I just don't remember. It'll taste the same one way or the other, but I'm gonna push this out to the edge the best I can. So now I've got another spoon. And I'm going to take my pink gel, and I've got a toothpick. I don't want to touch it because let me see how that looks. I love the gel food coloring, by the way. Probably more than I probably should have put in there, but that's okay. It's very vibrant pinks. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this little snack bag. Wow, that almond is strong in there, just eating it by itself. A little too strong. So I'm just going to cut the very corner off. Probably too much if I do that. Yeah, just a teeny tiny little bit of the corner. And what you want to do is you want to do lines, just parallel lines, if at all possible. And I'm never going to be able to not curve it at the end because I can't stop it. So I'm just going to weave it back and forth. Hey, I'm going to take this out of the pan before we try a bite. So literally what I do is I just hold the middle and kind of like let it fall down. Just like that. And this tart should slide right off this plate. Now, if you're really worried about it, you could put parchment paper and stuff on the bottom, but that worked. You saw it didn't stick at all. So now we'll be back to try a bite.
So the Bakewell Tart is complete, and Kevin has something to tell you about it.
Yeah, you'll see the side is completely covered up with the icing. That's because I made it a little bit too runny this time. So between this and what I did last time, it was probably perfect. This is a little too runny. Last time it was too thick. So there you go.
But as far as it being pretty, I would rather have it too thick than too thin. I don't
care if you can see the sides, but she does. So.
Well, I wanted to have a good picture for you all so that you could see the raspberry in the center. Which is in the center now because I made the center. It is.
Last time it wasn't existing.
Yes, last time all the raspberry was in the very edge around the crust, around the edge. This time it's actually in the middle of the pie as well.
That's still not my favorite. I know Tammy loves them. To me, it's just not the flavor I enjoy. Do you not like it?
No, I do. I think it's delicious. But I love almond, and the more almond I get, the more I love it. And I've learned that I love almond lotion, and I mean, I'll actually get up in the cabinet and open it up just to smell it and put it back.
Nope.
I think it's delicious. As far as the texture, what do you think about this?
It is a much better texture.
Yes.
With the almond flour than it was with the ground up almonds.
Yes.
Because we couldn't grind up those almonds fine enough. Whereas that's already ground up. So
yeah.
The texture is much, much better.
Yeah.
It's finer and smoother.
I'm very glad. I had a lot of you tell me, hey, they make almond flour. We had no idea. Because we've never used it for anything in our lives, so we just didn't know. So I really appreciate you telling us, but I do agree, the texture of this is much better. The only thing that would have made this perfect is if that icing sugar was just a little thicker.
Yeah, I agree.
But other than that, it was delicious. It's the same recipe. It's just the only difference is the flour. So I hope you enjoyed the second attempt. Next time he makes it, I doubt we won't film it. I'm telling you right now, we won't film it. But I hope that you've enjoyed both of the videos that we did make, and thanks for watching.